Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to dive straight into a fascinating translation of an ancient text to uncover the profound, honestly almost magical science of yoga. Now, if you think yoga is just about stretching out on a mat at your local gym, well, you are in for a complete paradigm shift today. The source material we're exploring frames yoga not as some modern physical fitness routine, but as a deeply complex ancient science, one that's specifically designed to unlock the absolute highest potential of the human mind and body. So let's dive into this and see exactly what these ancient texts actually have to say.
Okay, let's kick things off with a pretty wild revelation straight from our source. Did you know you're likely practicing a subtle form of this ancient science in your everyday life? The text argues that yoga isn't just something you go do intentionally in a studio for an hour. It's actually a fundamental state of mental focus that we all tap into naturally, and usually we're completely subconscious of it.
The text uses this absolutely beautiful, totally relatable anecdote to illustrate the point. Imagine holding a baby, right? You're gently patting them, just waiting for them to finally drift off. In those specific moments, your entire consciousness narrows down to a single unbroken thought. Now he's asleep. Now he's asleep. According to the author, this pure concentration, where literally all otherworldly distractions just fade away, is actually a subconscious form of focused yoga. You're harnessing this immense mental power without even realizing it.
Section 1. The Divine Origin of Yoga.
To truly understand the incredible depth of this practice, our source tells us we have to look way, way back to trace its cosmic origins. The text identifies Lord Shiva, who is often called the Yogi Raj, or the King of Yogis, as the original pioneer of this entire discipline. And the quote here is just powerful. It states that after rigorously analyzing and repeatedly pondering over all available scriptures, Shiva reached one definitive conclusion. Yoga is the supreme, ultimate science. It is the absolute highest path, sitting far above all the others.
The text goes on to relate a conversation where Shiva emphasizes the sheer necessity of this science to Parvati. He explains that liberation, like ultimate true freedom, is entirely impossible without yoga. And the text makes it clear this applies to absolutely everyone. It really doesn't matter if you're deeply knowledgeable or if you're completely detached from worldly desires, or even if you're a literal deity. Without the discipline of yoga, the source claims true liberation is just eternally out of reach. And this divine authority just builds even further in other ancient texts. Take this profound quote from the Garanda Samhita, which is a classic manual of yoga. It cements yoga as the ultimate, unparalleled strength of the human condition. It pairs it right alongside these fundamental truths. Maya or illusion is the greatest sin, knowledge is the greatest friend, and the ego is the greatest enemy. But nestled right in there is the absolute assertion that there is literally no strength in the universe that compares to the power of yoga.
Section 2. Decrypting the meaning.
So, what exactly is this immense power we're talking about? And where does the word even come from? Well, the author traces the root word of yoga, yug, through the ancient Upanishads, and it reveals a really fascinating evolution in meaning. Originally, it just referred to simple physical acts, like sowing seeds or joining things together. Then, over time, it evolved to describe the physical act of controlling horses or yoking a chariot. And finally, it evolved into its highest, most subtle definition, the ultimate, disciplined mastery of controlling one's own senses and mind.
And that evolution perfectly tees up the core definition of the practice. It's a famous Sanskrit phrase you might have heard, yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Translated, this basically means the complete cessation of the fluctuations, anxieties, and endless chatter of the mind. The source explains that true yoga is achieved only when a person abandons all those worldly worries and enters a state of perfectly tranquil, totally undisturbed consciousness. Finding that absolute stillness, that is the true definition of yoga.
Section 3. The Lost Technology.
By mastering this profound mental focus, ancient India utilized yoga as more than just a spiritual pursuit. It became an advanced internal technology. In fact, this mastery is what historically elevated the nation to the revered status of Jagat Guru, meaning the teacher of the world. And the source text draws a really sharp, uncompromising contrast here. The author boldly claims that the discoveries modern Western scientists are just now making, uncovering the hidden layers of human psychology and physics, were actually trivial to ancient Indian yogis. The text literally describes these massive modern scientific breakthroughs as having been a mere left-hand game, meaning total child's play for the ancient masters of the science.
So, what exactly could these ancient masters do? According to the text, the focused mind unlocks incredible latent energy. The author uses a great metaphor for this. Just as fire is hidden inside wood, or how a massive plant is hidden inside a tiny seed, immense power is hidden inside us, just waiting for the electricity of yoga to awaken it. The source claims the results are extraordinary. We're talking occult sciences, knowing the past and future, curing diseases, reading minds, and even hypnotism. The crazy part? The text considers all of these to simply be normal byproducts of yogic mastery.
And the claims go even further into what we today would strictly consider the supernatural. The source attributes absolute physical mastery to advanced yogis. This includes the ability to make their bodies as light as air or as incredibly heavy as an elephant. It even mentions flying through the air without any machines, and ultimately, conquering death itself. The text basically asks a rhetorical question. Can the modern era, with all its boasting about civilization and technology, replicate these kinds of miraculous feats?
The author actually injects a personal observation right here to back up these extraordinary claims. He impartially reports his own claim of having personally witnessed practitioners use this latent yogic bodily power to safely digest deadly, lethal poisons like arsenic, literally eating poison and being totally fine. Through total internal bodily mastery, the source suggests that the human body can actually be conditioned to neutralize what should technically be instantly fatal.
According to the text, if you maintain continuous, rigorous practice, you unlock all of these latent powers we just discussed, which ultimately culminates in a very specific number of masteries. That number is 8. These are known as the Ashta Siddhi, the 8 ultimate perfections or supernatural abilities. And the source notes that for a true, dedicated yogi, achieving these 8 perfections is just an easy game.
Section 4. A universal science. Now, despite these immense, almost magical rewards, the text is very clear that this path is definitely not easy. It describes the journey of yoga as walking on the sharp edge of a razor. It's an arduous road, and it is full of thorns. But, as the source beautifully points out, wherever there are thorns, there are also flowers. The extreme difficulties of the path are matched exactly by the profound bliss and joy waiting at the end. This incredibly demanding yet rewarding science is so highly regarded that Lord Krishna himself praised it extensively in the Bhagavad Gita, and the source text actually makes a point to refer to the Bhagavad Gita as the 5th Veda, just to underline the absolute foundational importance of yoga in ancient philosophy.
Perhaps one of the most important takeaways from this entire document, though, is its universality. The text emphatically concludes that yoga is a completely universal science. It explicitly states that no single caste, no specific community, and no exclusive group holds the copyright to this practice. It's a fundamental human discipline, and it belongs inherently to absolutely everyone who is willing to walk the path.
To wrap things up, the author of our source text leaves us with this stunningly beautiful metaphor. Because numerous sages have dedicated entire massive scriptures solely to the topic of yoga, exploring its depths is literally an endless endeavor. The text notes that trying to praise the greatness of yoga any further is simply like showing a small lamp to the blazing sun. There's just no comparison. It's a profound thought that completely reframes how we view human potential. So based on what we've explored in this explainer today, I'll leave you with this question to ponder. If the ancient texts are right, what incredible latent powers are quietly waiting to be awakened inside you?